What do you think is blocking your product from getting to the next stage? Chances are you probably haven't tested with enough real people. You could be building the coolest product ever, but if your users don't need it right now, or you can't really they can't figure out how to use it, it's not going to work. But I used to work in the industry. I know what they'll want. If you are one of those people and you're an industry expert, that's amazing. This can be really helpful, and it sounds like you're the perfect person to be on this team. But that's only going to get you so far. You might still have some bias, and at the end of the day, you're not one of the paying customers, and you're a step removed from the people you're actually targeting, because you're probably not doing that job anymore if you're running this company or someone on this team. So you're probably moving pretty quick. So I would recommend you conduct even just like 5 user interviews with people. You can do them on video or you can do them in person. But the point is talking to real users, people who are in your target audience, who would actually be paying customers or their company is paying customers, to see how are they interacting with it. So I'm going to show you how to conduct user testing for your product. My name is Elena Haskins, and I am a UX product designer. I help SaaS founders grow from good enough to validate MVPs to refined software that users and investors love and trust. So you haven't tested with enough real people. And I'm not just talking about grabbing your buddy or someone in your team and just saying, hey, can you just click through this and tell us what you think? Tell us what you like. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you're not using that to make like really big decisions. You're not pulling data from that. If it's just a quick temperature check of, hey, does this make sense? Then have at it. But you want to make sure you have something a little bit more concrete, because that's also something investors are going to be looking at. Have you actually tested it? What data do you have to back up the decisions you have? So step 1, give the participant a task to complete. This is something that's a little bit different than just, hey, we're collecting feedback. This is why user testing is so valuable. You actually give them tasks that they normally would be completing. So this is ideal to do with someone who either is new to your app, or maybe you do have someone who's been using your product. You want to have a mix of that and actually watch them complete the task. So let's say you have a product for insurance claims. You might be working with somebody like an adjuster and say, walk me through how you would set up a new claim. You want to keep it relatively vague, so you're not saying, oh, you're going to go here and here and here. You just want to see, this is something they know they have to do for their job. How are they going to do it? So you just say, hey, walk me through how you would create a new claim. And then you shut your mouth and you watch them and you see them, where they clicking? And have them speak out loud. Oh, okay, I'm going to go to the create button because it probably means create. And you're like, okay, noted. And even if they go to do something wrong, just keep watching. The reason that we want to give them real tasks are because this is why someone would be actually using your app. We want to see that like real like thought process and real life like action of what's going on when they're going to use it. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to have someone behind being like, hey, no, to the left. So we want to know, where are they getting confused? What are they clicking instead of what we're expecting them to click? Or which parts are really easy? Number 2, which I kind of covered, don't tell them how to do it. If you have something, let's say you have a button that says, we'll get back to that. So number 2, don't tell them how to do it. Even if it feels really tempting, even if they're really struggling, because that struggle, that is your gold. That's your money, because that's when you know, okay, shoot, we got to fix that like right now. If it's something that maybe isn't as important for finishing a task, like maybe they got confused filtering, or they got confused like trying to add something. But if generating a claim, they get confused, or they don't even know how to put in the right information or the photos, maybe that's something that you need to revisit. So at the end of this, you will start being able to prioritize the fixes that you want to make. But the first step is you just have to get the information and figure out what even needs to be improved. Okay, the next one is record the call. Let them know when they sign up so it doesn't feel really creepy or big brothery, but this is going to let you focus on the call, and you're not going to be worried about note taking. You're not going to be worried about forgetting to ask something. You're going to be fully focused and just looking at what they're doing, and then you can ask follow-up questions in the moment of what's actually happening. Ideally, you do have 2 people. So Ideally, you're on a call where one person's a facilitator and one person's strictly note-taking, and it's still recorded. And you can tell them the recording is just for internal purposes to make sure you don't miss anything they say. Another reason you really want to record things are our memories do kind of weird things. We think they said this, or maybe we interpret it a certain way. Someone else might look at that comment and go, what? I don't think that's what they meant. Or, hey, did you notice that they were struggling on this? Having that recording is going to give you a much more objective memory of what actually happened. And you can also pull quotes from it. You might notice that with your claim software, everyone's getting really confused about how to put in the information about how to, let's say it's for a car claim. Everyone's getting really confused about how to connect to the auto body shops. You're like, okay, we've noticed a lot of people are confused there. More specifically, people are saying things like, I'm not really sure where to put the name, or I'm not really sure where the phone number is. So then you can hear those actual quotes, and then you can find patterns from there. Next, ask follow-up questions. So you're going to have a script, which I didn't add. That's kind of like a bonus. I didn't add that as one of the little hints. But you want to have a script where you have some set questions you're going to ask. So then you can ask everyone something pretty consistent. But you want, because it's a live call, you want to make sure, or in person, you want to make sure you ask follow-up questions. So if they go to do something and they're struggling, you could say, hey, tell me a little bit more about that. Or let's say they say something and they use a word you don't know. You're like, oh, what did you mean by this? Or could you explain what blah, blah, blah is? So having it be a little bit more broad of tell me about a time, tell me more, or how come is a lot more better, not a lot more informative than just being like, okay, because there's probably a lot of things underneath that they're not telling you about. Here, I'll give you an example. Let's say in this claim platform, someone's going in and every time they go to add, let's say, their information, and they're putting in their information manually, even though it's like their stuff every time. And you know in the back of your head that you have a way in your tool to allow them to just like automatically put in their information because it's consistent. And so you notice that they're typing their name every single time. You're like, hey, could you tell me a little bit more about you putting in your information? How do you know where to put that? What are you experiencing right now? So then they might say, oh, it's like really cumbersome. It's really annoying. Or, well, I mean, there's not really a better way to do it. Just so you can get more idea about why are they actually doing the things that they're doing. And then it might be able to open up more questions or more things that might be missing, or something that maybe you didn't do very clearly. Or maybe there's something that you knocked out of the park and you want to maybe use it for marketing. So you want to get more information from people that way. Next is compensate for their time. So it's pretty common to offer a gift card. I personally like to do a $20 gift card, maybe to like Amazon, for a 30-minute call. If you have no money, which that's tough, I know, you could find some kind of exchange. You can either do, hey, maybe you have access to the tool. Maybe it's you get like a consultation about something. Either way, you want to make sure that you compensate them in some kind of form. But also think like, what would they actually want to do? If you're not getting a lot of people to sign up, you might need to adjust your compensation. Because at the end of the day, you are in love with your product. They might not necessarily be. So even if you'd be willing to do a call, they might not, unless, they're compensated. At the end of the day, you are benefiting from this, and this is helping grow their business. So just something to keep in mind. It's also a way to get more people, more quality people who actually will take the time to give you the right answers. And also it'll create goodwill. So they know that this is more of like a trusting relationship, and you're not just trying to use them and like send them on their way. It feels more like a relationship, which is something you want to have with future customers. And then this one, I'm missing a K. Ask open-ended questions about their experience. So while you have them there, you are going to be talking more about the tool, but this is also really helpful to understand more of their background, especially if there's gaps that maybe you didn't understand or might be different from when you did it. It's just really good to know more about their job in reference to the tool. So this is more of like if you have extra time, you can tack on some of these questions. And this could even be a whole separate interview where you ask things like, hey, tell me about the last time you had to create a claim for somebody. Keep it pretty open-ended and see what they say. From there, they can have those follow-up questions. Or you might say, what kind of tools tell me about the tool you're currently using to create claims. And then they'll be talking about it, and you can say, what are some of the things that you like about it? What are some things that really frustrate you? If you had a magic wand and you could change anything about it, what would it be? What's something that a lot of people misunderstand about being an adjuster for a car insurance company? And so from that, you can start understanding more about their role, because this is the person this is all their experience that they're going to come and bring into this that you might not have. Whether you are in the industry or outside the industry, even if you had the exact same job, everyone's experience might be a little bit different. I'll give you one more example. I used to work with a client who had an in-home nursing tool. So nurses would go in people's homes and they would be filling out a lot of paperwork about them because it's a doctor's appointment. And then when they go home, they are going to be recording information about themselves, about the appointment, and about themselves and about the person. Not really about themselves, but the experience. And then they'll be able to have all that documentation kind of update for them. Now, I actually went in person with them. I went in the car and I, watched them go through and interact and do all the things in that person's home. And I noticed when she was talking as we were walking in that she was looking around. She was looking at the state of the floor. She was looking if there were stairs. She was looking if the carpet was furrowed in a way that might trip up somebody who is more bedridden. And those are all things that she subconsciously was doing. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's really interesting, because I would never expect that. And that's not something someone might tell you. But I might say, hey, walk me through what it's like to go on one of your appointments. Or what's the first thing you think about when you get out of the car and you're walking into an appointment? Or when you're walking into a new home for an appointment, what are some things that you're on the lookout for? So those are some questions that I can start asking that they might not necessarily think to tell you, because it's just second nature for them. So that's why it's really, really important to ask open-ended questions, both about their experience and the product. Here are some things of what not to do at a user test. So the first one is ask generic questions. Do you like it? What do you think? What should we improve? Those questions are like a nice baseline if you feel like you want to ask that, but then you need to build off of that. Because a lot of times people are going to just tell you what you want to hear. No, it's good. I like it. Pretty good. They're not going to tell you all the little things that maybe they got confused at. Maybe they got confused at looking at the list of claims. Maybe they couldn't tell whose was assigned to who, but they were able to kind of bumble through it, and it wasn't the best, but they're like, whatever, this is just kind of part of my job. That's something that you'll find with a lot of B2B products. A lot of people, they have to use these tools because it's their job. And them, not being able to do something or getting confused, for them, they're just like, this is just like part of my job description. I have to do it. But that doesn't mean that we need to make a tool that is like that. But it means they might not be thinking of some of those small annoyances because they're like, meh, all this stuff kind of sucks, whatever. I have to go to work and I'm an insurance adjuster. I don't know. Asking leading questions. So this is when we are implanting ideas into their head. And we do this all the time by accident. So if you accidentally do this, it's not your fault. It just takes a lot of practice. But that's why it's helpful to have that list of questions ahead of time. So you could say something like, this is bad. Don't do this. We put this video at the top to be more interactive. Do you think that helps with the experience? Why do you think the onboarding flow is so easy? Relying on your memory. So like I mentioned in the first part, you never want to just rely on your memory. Even if you're really, really good at it, you probably are going to miss something. Or you're just coming in with your own interpretation of what happened. So that's why you always want to have it recorded. Another nice thing about it being recorded is then you can when you play it back, you can start seeing things in their body language that maybe you wouldn't hear or just see in your notes. For example, let's say you ask someone a question and they just take like 10 seconds because they're like, and they're like clicking around, they're trying to find it, and they're just like, I don't know. And it's all these nonverbal things. That could be really helpful to see. And even if they say, oh, I was really confused at XYZ, you can say, oh, I noticed this person like paused, furrowed their brow, and just like didn't know what to do for like 10 seconds. Next is don't give the answers. Even if they're like hardcore struggling, just let them struggle. And you can even tell them that in the beginning. Or if they are struggling, just say, hey, we're not testing you, we're testing the product. So if you get confused, it's actually more helpful for us. So please just let us know. It's actually really helpful if there's parts that you don't understand, because that's how we know what to fix. So you could say, this is something not to say. So in order to generate a report, typically people will go to the reports page, then they'll search the one they need, and then they will download this and then this. What do you think? Because now they kind of know what to do when they're just clicking and they're following along, and it's kind of like cheating. And it's not going to get you the answers that are actually helpful for you. Next is expect people to do it for free. So we kind of talked about this on the other side, but not everyone has the same devotion to the product as you do. So even just a small gift card, it's industry standard and it creates a respectful relationship. Because think about it. Someone giving you 30 minutes of their time could save you hundreds or thousands of dollars in like dev rework. Like let's say you're building up this feature, you put it in front of a few people, and then they're like, oh, I mean, whatever, we don't really know, like we don't really need that. And so then it becomes deprioritized, but you just spent all that time building and building and building versus you could have just gotten that feedback. So it's really goodwill to compensate people in that kind of way. And the last one is, and I probably should have started with this, ask your friends or family that are not your target audience. Mom is always going to be like, oh, I love it, it's great. And it's so hard to be objective. Well, I guess all of it's subjective, but it's really hard to give that kind of feedback when it's your buddy. So even if it's someone that, let's say, okay, if you do need to ask people that you know, at least make sure that you're in your target audience. You don't want to be getting feedback from someone who is never going to be using your tool. That would be like asking a bunch of parents to, sorry, I'm just thinking of these examples kind of on the fly. That would be like the example of asking kids to give feedback for like a college professor tool. Like that's, their insight doesn't really matter. You could get some general like, yeah, it's a little confusing because I don't know what this button does. But you really want to get into the mindset of someone who is going to be using it and going to be giving you money. So do yourself a favor and at least try to find people in your target audience. And people will probably ask, like, how much do we have to do this for? Is this going to be a lot of time consuming? It does take a little bit of time, but that time is going to save you so much more time and money the rest, because you're going to have insights that you can't just make up. You can't just chat GPT it. So I would say ideally you want to have, even like 7 people looking at it. If you're like, dude, we got to move so quick. This is not important to us. Fine, we'll do a little bit. The least you could do is like 3 to 5 people, 30 minutes, just put it in front of people, because that's going to save you so much headache. Because listen, I'm realistic. I get it. Not everyone has like thousands and thousands of dollars of budget for this. So that's why even 3 to 5 people will make a world of a difference for you. So if you need help with getting that feedback, you're not sure what to ask, you don't have enough time to do this, or you just want someone else to handle this so you can just move along with your roadmap because you don't even want to think about this, let's hop on a call. Let's chat. Let's talk through it. So you can schedule a free 20-minute strategy session. You can scan that QR code if you're watching it on like a different device. Or you can just go to my website, www.onally.design, and we can go from there. But Either way, you can use this to conduct your own, or even if it's not me, someone should be doing this. So let me know if you have any questions.